Hey, I'm Dart.
And I'm Lisa.
Hey, we're back again covering the third pillar of the asset planning, protecting assets.
Yes. So day one we talked about lawsuits.
Mhm.
Day two we talked about the IRS, and
Right.
today we are going to talk about.
Stock market.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
fun, good one.
So,
Okay, so let's talk really about the what asset protection is.
right. Yes. So, what we define as asset protection is protecting your valuable assets from anyone or anything that could take them.
Yes, while you're living or even after you pass. So
Right.
these things are important to think ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we'll delve into some of that stuff deeper later, right?
Right. Yeah.
But asset protection is not about.
It's not about hiding your assets or committing fraud or trying to conceal it from your creditors. It's really about building barriers so that they just can't get them from a frivolous lawsuit.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so so asset protection. I think a person's mind would go back to talking about some times maybe where they've lost a good bit.
Yeah.
During the stock market, that's
right. Right. So we know that stock market is a huge creditor. What do you think?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. So depending on your age, you may or may not had money invested, but in 2000 to 2002, the stock market lost
40%.
40%.
That's a lot from top
to bottom. When we say top to bottom, we can define that as a drawdown. And drawdowns don't show up on your annual averages. So you have to kind of look because they cross over the end of the year lines. So it's important not just say, oh, it was down 13% that year and it recovered the next year. And so, oh, it's up 5%. But in the reality, the whole drawdown was 40 to 50%. So that's what drawdown is really important.
Right. I think you just brought up a point that we didn't talk about beforehand. Is just how a lot of times on a statement people would just see an average.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And another little secret: averages mean nothing if there's a negative involved. Ooh. Averages only count if 0 is as low as you can go. If they say, oh, it's average, 10% the last 3 years, it's not a true thing. So you just have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
And so we talk about that. But
the next time, I think probably most people who are listening were part of the 2007, 2009.
That's right. And so it lost how much?
50%.
Right. The equities market lost 50% from top to bottom over between 2007 and April. It was like October of 2007 to April 2009. So that went across 3 calendar years.
Well, and Dart, I think that we would agree, and all of you would agree, you make this money's hard-earned money,
right?
And it's important to try to safeguard and protect. And yes, you
right.
don't want to. Yeah,
absolutely. And so that's why that I think, if you experience those crashes, that you would agree with us that the stock market giveth and the stock market can take away. So it is a creditor.
Yeah. Well, okay. And most certainly I think, kudos to everyone. We've just living through this pandemic has been a lot. It's been rough in a lot of different ways.
It's a game changer, right?
One of them was definitely the smart stock market as well.
Right.
And that was what, 30%?
Right. There was a rapid, violent, quick stock market downturn of 30%. So, so advisors can help clients limit or even eliminate your downturns whenever for your retirement income savings, investments.
Yeah.
Because when you get into retirement, these downturns are detrimental.
Yeah.
And so if I can say this is just while you're working and you're looking at your statements, if you're adding money to it, and maybe you're doing it in your company 401k and the company is adding money to it, so you're putting more money in, so the highs look higher than they are. And because you're still putting money into it, you never see a true low. because you can. So someone could argue and say, well, 2007, 2009, let's put money in my 401k. I never saw any 50% downturn. Well, maybe you had some bonds, but again, you were adding money to it, and so that smooths out the curve.
Not a true number.
However, when you retire, you're no longer putting money in.
Yeah, and I think this brings up a great point. Just during these 3 times that we're talking about over the past 2 decades, it seems like it's during a time, and like if we use the pandemic, people will buy and sell on their emotions. And during the pandemic, let's face it, a lot of emotions were really off course, out of check. And there are fears about so many things. I think that if you hadn't planned ahead, it makes it easier to maybe make some rash decisions.
Right.
Not being ahead of that a little bit. Don't you feel like that?
Absolutely. So it all comes from having a good drawdown protection plan with your advisor. Absolutely. So that wraps up for today.
Yeah.
And so tomorrow we'll be talking about insurance.
Well, thank you for joining us. And I hope that these little videos are helping.
For education purposes only.
Amen. Y'all have a great day. Bye. Oh, it didn't shut off.